myself sometimes. All right, well, let's see if we can do this without me coughing into the microphone.
Yeah, good luck with that. Was that your
Mm-hmm.
neighbor is like doing sawdust stuff?
Yeah.
Or was it outside? Oh, it's
It was
outside.
it was outside across the street, and I had the door open because it's warm out, and all of a sudden I started choking. Then I kind of looked around. You know how like the room can look a little hazy,
Yeah.
and I was
Yuck.
like, is that sawdust smoke or is it just a weird haze? I feel like now I can
Can you
smell it, but now
smell
I'm
it?
paranoid.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, now it's like you're just smelling it. Maybe you're not just smelling it.
Maybe not. We'll see. Like we'll find out if everything's dusty because I just dusted, so I'll know.
I hear your little guy back there.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that
What he's
sounds like a
doing.
leaf blower to me. You know how I feel about leaf blowers.
Motherfuckers. Ugh. It's not
No.
even fall. There aren't any leaves down. What could they be doing?
All right, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you ready? Uh, I was talking to someone, and they had someone in their life who was super psychic, but she would also often rely on the advice of other psychics. Kind of no different than you and I do when we're like, all right, I got something going on. I have a bubble question for you. And this person's comment was that later in life, they started feeling like the whole act of always going to a psychic and asking questions was a way to potentially shortcut life. Like, I don't necessarily want to have this experience that feels like it might be negative, impactful of growth. Is there a way that I could shortcut it? Is there a way that I can find to get ahead? I want to know what they have to say, what the bubble has to share about asking for assistance or guidance or going into the bubble.
Um, in regard, like, do you mean like, is it a shortcut? Is that like like, is the question like,
Yeah, does it actually provide any sort of shortcut? And if so, is that a negative thing?
okay, they're like, there's so many layers to this. Okay, first layer is just calling it a shortcut is a judgment,
Uh,
which obviously, but like, so I guess they're going to peel into that one first. No, okay. We're backing up. It, okay, every person's motivation to go see a psychic is different. Duh. Now, the shortcut is there is no shortcut. So, fuck you guys. Basically, no, there's no shortcut. Like, even if the person was trying to get a shortcut, there wouldn't be a shortcut. So like they're basically saying like you have to be, and I don't like the word careful, but like be aware, like everyone that's intuitive or psychic that does psychic readings may be putting something through a filter that they're unaware of. So you've got to be aware that it could be coming through a filter. And this is something you and I have worked on a ton of like feeling the difference between what we're feeling and like what we believe about something and then what's actually coming through. But so like just being aware of that, and like they're just like you wouldn't just follow your best friend's advice without thinking about it for yourself, or you shouldn't. They're like you should also, same thing for psychics. Like just because it's coming through, and they're like also same thing from us, like the higher selves. And we've talked about this before where it's like you don't just follow the higher selves advice because they gave it to you. It's like you're still the human being. You still have autonomy and you still have to make the decision for yourself. So now what they're talking about is now they're talking about what this person was kind of asking really is like, or the fear that I think was coming from this person is like going to the psychic is like trying to get away with something.
Mm.
Like, hang on. Yeah. It's like such a subtle energy, but it's like this person was afraid that this other person was like trying to sidestep doing their work or facing their problems by going to a psychic. And they're like, people absolutely do that all the time, but the work's not going anywhere just because they went to see a psychic.
Yeah.
But the other layer is like, there are people that go see psychics all the time because their anxiety levels, it's basically like they're so anxious, they want the answers ahead of time. And they're like
So
I'm
they can
guilty of
prepare
this.
themselves, right?
Yeah, I know I'm guilty of this. Plus, they're not going to give you all the fucking information anyway. So it's not like, it's not really going to prepare. You're not going to find out about everything ahead of time. That's just not how things are. So it's like, there is like a set of people, and I've listened to this other podcast. I can't remember these three women, what the name of it is, but they were talking about, they're like Hollywood people, and they were talking about going to see a psychic. And this woman was like, I used to go more when my career was more like unstable and I didn't have a partner because I had more questions about things because I wasn't where I wanted to be. So like, and I know like that's how I'm too. I love going to see psychics. But now I'm more like, more when we do these questions together, I'm more trying to understand the energy around what's happening and how I'm feeling or what's going on versus like trying to pinpoint the future down, which you can't do. So they're kind of saying like, in general, people are going for different reasons, and they might be going because they actually have anxiety, which like, and if it relieves the anxiety in the moment, like there's no harm as long as they're not following advice blindly without really considering like what they need.
Right.
But this particular instance, it's like when that person says, what was the question?
If it's a shortcut.
A shortcut. Yeah, and they're like, they're going to be like, this person needs to look at why they see it as a shortcut. Because they're also saying this person also loves to get psychic readings and ask for psychic readings all the time. And so they're bringing this judgment on it. And so they need to look at themselves and be like, why am I judging something that that person did that now I'm doing?
Right.
It's like, am I trying to get a shortcut? And they're like, again, it's not actually a problem if you are trying to get a shortcut, because even if you're trying to get a shortcut, it doesn't mean the shortcut's there. It doesn't mean it exists. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, the whole time that you were saying that, what they were showing me is they were showing me reading the Daily Stoic, and it's no different than going to a psychic, right? Like Stoicism is a philosophy that I'm not necessarily as familiar with as I wanted to be. So I got a book, quote unquote shortcut, to try to learn about it. But just the act of reading about Stoicism, getting a reading from a psychic, I'm no more a Stoic, nor can I apply what I am reading just because I'm reading it.
Yeah, and they're
So,
like tarot cards, the same thing.
yeah, I think what it does is it might plant a seed, it might share a perspective, it might offer an alternative, but you still have to do the work of
Right.
implementing any of that.
Well,
So I could read 10 books about Stoicism and still not fucking understand it.
right. Well,
Trust
and what
me.
they're also, yeah, what, and they, but this came through too, but I forgot, or I was talking about something else. This thing is making me annoyed. The psychic, even if they're saying something through their own filter or whatever, there's still going to be valuable information that comes through. There's going to be something that's helpful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, so yeah, so like the bottom line is like anytime that we have a judgment about something, we have to look at why we're judging it and what that judgment is and how we're doing the same thing. Which, ironically enough, they talked about in the last episode of the talk tapes from the telepathy tapes, talk tapes, which I think was episode 3 or 4 from the talk tapes portion that came out this past
Haven't watched it
Sunday.
yet or
But
listened to it
anyway,
yet.
that kind of was like, was brought up just like the idea of the reflection. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go into it. So you can listen or somebody can listen to it. Yeah, so that's it. That's the
Okay.
answer to that.
I dig it.
That's it. Candy and I don't judge things all the time because we do. We don't want me to think like, don't think we're doing these readings and we're sitting here like, here's what they're saying. It's like, don't judge it. And Candy and I never judge anything.
Yeah.
We're very judgmental people. It's okay.
That was my New Year's resolution for like 3 years in a row running, is to be less judgmental. And then I
How's it
finally
going
realized
for
that
you?
I was judging myself, so I just let it go. Fuck it. Like, this is not a battle I'm going to win. What I need to realize, to your point, Laura, to their point, is why am I deciding to judge something in the moment?
Yeah. Right.
That's the work, not the not
Yeah.
judging. It's the figuring out the why. And then maybe
Right.
the
Just
judging
putting
will
a
go away.
right. Just putting a stopper on it is gonna do nothing. Like,
No.
yeah.
We call that shoving the shit down, and then eventually
It blows out of your skull. Gross. I just had a visual of that.
all the judgment.
Disgusting. Oh, are we wrapping it up?
I think so. I feel better. I feel less paranoid right now. Less like the
know,
world's
so do
gonna
I.
end. So that's good.
Got to do more of this, less of the doom scrolling, less of trying to keep tabs on the horse running around in the hospital.
Yeah. No, that orange horse is just gonna run around and wreak havoc for a while,
Yeah.
and we're all gonna keep our vibes in a good place to make it better.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean good vibes only. Don't panic. Don't get pissed off. Don't write shitty comments. I'm not a good vibes only person. Clearly. If you know me, you know.
If
All
you know,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it for now.
Sayonara.
Ciao.